Welcome or welcome back to our channel. In today's episode, we are going to help you uncover and release hidden self-judgments, and we're going to give you the tools to do so by the end of this video, so stick around. Okay, so Lisa and I are going to be completely transparent with you guys and let you know that this work is some of the hardest work that we've ever done. And it eludes even the most spiritual women that have been, made a living out of personal development, like coaches. I guarantee there's a lot of really well-known popular life coaches out there that don't even do this work or understand this tool that we're going to teach you today. So buckle up, hit pause if there's anything else going on. I don't want you guys working. I don't want you distracted. This will change your lives. So why is this so important that you learn this tool? Because if you don't, you're going to stay stuck in a loop where for the rest of your life, you think it's other people, other situations, other circumstances, might be a different house, different job, different town, different set of friends, and you will never understand that it all starts from within you, that all of these people who annoy you, frustrate you, that you find yourself gossiping about are really mirrors for your own personal growth, development, and expansion.
Beautifully said, Jamie. And whether you're built more like Jamie or more like me, and if you've heard us talk before, you know that we're wired very differently, actually kind of polar opposites, but also very complementary at the same time. So for Jamie, she has spent a lot of time in judgment of other people, saying it's your fault, and in frustration and anger and blame. And for me, I've spent a lot of time turning it inward, saying it's my fault, and taking responsibility in shame and powerlessness and guilt and feeling bad about the way that I am, or feeling like something is wrong with me. So,
which is commonly called victim mode. And so neither is good, guys. I just want to say that right up front here. Neither is good, but they both have a positive intention, right, Lisa?
Right. Both are just a stress response that's trying to keep us safe, actually. And I'm going to highlight here, why do we judge? Where does judgment come from, and why do we even do it? Because like Jamie said, everything we feel, every emotion we have has a positive intention for us. So the positive intention of judgment, like a lot of other things, are to give us the 3 core human emotional needs. Just like we need food, water, and shelter, we have emotional needs that we need as humans. So whether you're wired like Jamie or wired like me, we all have this in common. We all want love, we all need safety, and we all need belonging. And so the reasons why we judge other people are to go out and get love and safety and belonging. So whether we are trying to reassure our ego that the way we've chosen to live our life is the correct way, because we have a million decisions of how we could live our life, and we have to make these decisions about how we choose to live and who we choose to be. And our ego wants us to reassure ourselves that the way we're choosing is the correct way, and that we're good boys and girls, and that we're going to get love from our parents, or maybe that we're going to get love from God, or depending how you grew up spiritually, maybe even salvation, we're going to be saved at the end of our lives because we've done it the right way. And so we try to get love by judging other people so we can say we're right. It also gives us an edge over people. We might want to stay just slightly above people on a bit of a pedestal, looking down and judging other people, because we believe that that gives us power and safety. It gives us strength and power and safety, makes us above people so that we can feel that sense of emotional safety. And then lastly, we might gossip about people to somebody else because we're actually looking for a sense of belonging. Because when we're gossiping, we're actually looking to belong to the people we're gossiping to. It has less to do with the people we're gossiping about, but we're trying to create this sense of, I'm with you and we're here and they're over there. And it gives us that sense of community and belonging. It's not a healthy way of necessarily of doing it, but these are the reasons why, these are the crazy ways our ego shows up, trying to get us those core emotional needs met.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the concepts that we teach at the Expansion Group for Women is that all judgments of others are really hidden self-judgments trying to be revealed to you. Because remember, you can only change yourself. You can't change other people. And we call this tool mirror theory. Remember, when you find yourself gossiping about someone else, when you find yourself saying you're not going to believe what he or she did or said, what you're really trying to do is feel a sense of connection with them, that sense of community that Lisa spoke of. And all of us, more so than ever because of COVID, are really longing for that sense of connection and community. So we're looking for people that share our values to feel connected with. Those people will never help us grow and expand. Those people are our comfort zone. When you're able to take a look at someone built differently than you, that has a whole different set of values, maybe religious values, maybe they grew up in a different culture, maybe they're just programmed different. Like we've mentioned, Lisa and I are more masculine or more feminine when it comes to energy. When you're able to take a look at them and find your deepest, meanest, nastiest judgment about them, sometimes it's a story. Sometimes it's something you heard growing up, but when you're able to find that and flip it and use it for yourself, magic occurs.
I just want to say, in response to what you said about, through this pandemic and everybody's home and longing for connection, there's also never been a time in history where so much polarization and judgment has been happening in the world. So that longing for connection and that judgment seem to go hand in hand, and they're really, really extreme at this very moment in time. So what Jamie's sharing with us is this tool that we call mirror theory, which says whatever we see in another person is actually a reflection of something that's going on in our vibration ourselves. And this works in the positive as well as in the negative. So for instance, let's say that I am scrolling on Instagram and I see a coach who looks beautiful, her energy's gorgeous, and she's bragging about a success she just had while she's on a beach with her girlfriends, and seems to be living like this amazing life. And I might have a judgment about her that she must have had it easy, or she must have been handed some money, or she must have a rich husband, or like I might have some kind of judgment that says she must not have done that herself because I'm struggling internally with me, believing that I can't do it myself, right? So instead, if I were to flip that and say, gosh, she's really got it made, she's got all these amazing qualities, she must really have her stuff together. And then I say, how am I like that? Well, now I realize I have the potential for all of that too. She's not separate from me. We're actually more similar than I'm willing to admit at the time. And so that's a positive way of using mirror theory to say, if she's got these qualities I'm noticing in her, actually I'm seeing that she has radiant energy, right? I'm seeing she has gorgeous hair and radiant energy, and she's living this beautiful life, then I can have that too.
I would just like to mention how beautifully you illustrated that, and that notice that she was able to flip that. We call that the reverse principle. She was able to flip that without anything in her outer world changing. Yeah. She still was on Instagram, still looking at the same woman, at the same story. And it's just a train of thought. I used to call it the thought train. It's just a train of thought. And remember, you're the thinker of your thoughts, and that 95% of the day, you are just thinking the thoughts that you thought yesterday. So only 5% of our thoughts, guys, come from this conscious front portion of our brain, that prefrontal cortex, versus that primal ego portion of our brain, which is mostly in a habit loop. So Lisa, you so beautifully illustrated how positive mirror theory can work. And if you tend to turn judgment more within, how you can start to shift and see the positive. Now, if you're someone who has a tendency to point the finger at other people, not at yourself, but at other people, like I do, I'm more masculine, I'm busy, nobody works as hard as me. I've recovered from a lot of that busyism line of thinking, and I'm more balanced, masculine and feminine now than I was before. But I still have a tendency to notice fault in others before I see it in myself, where Lisa has a tendency to notice fault in herself and then sometimes starts to see it in others. So I like to remind myself, number one, if you're pointing your finger at someone else, there are 3 fingers pointing back at me. So that's number one. I boss up and I take ownership for my portion of this. there must be 3 times as much of whatever this judgment is that's living within me. And because I am on a heart-centered spiritual journey to release that which does not serve me any longer, I really want to know where those traits are within me so I can release them. So the way that I look at it is, when I have a judgment about someone, Lisa helped me with this. She said, is there anything deeper? Keep going. What's your meanest, nastiest? And sometimes it's so surface for me. Ego will shapeshift. It's how ego messes with you and gets you confused, really thinking it is someone else. If I go deeper, I realize that's not even really true about them, but it is the judgment at the core. But I'm not really seeing that in them today. So this is why this is such important work, guys. When you go deeper underneath the surface of what's really going on, that's where you can see what's being, what's calling forward to be released in you.
Right. Beautifully said, Jamie. So just to kind of bring all of that and ground it for you into a tool you can take out and use today, here's the process. Here's mirror theory. So whenever you find a judgment of someone else, and this can actually work in the positive or negative, but when you see something in someone else, so any quality, but today we're going to focus on judgment. So you notice a judgment about somebody, you notice you're feeling triggered, you're feeling annoyed, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling resentful, and you say, what is the meanest, nastiest judgment I have about this person? And here's even to take it a little bit further, is to say, not focus on what they're doing, but to say he's so, or she's so, and get to that really like honest egoic judgment and write it down. And then
another take is, what's the most annoying thing about that person right now?
Yeah. Yep.
And that also will help me get there.
Yep. And then you look at it on your piece of paper. You can do this in your head if you want, but it helps to write it down. And then you really take a good, honest look and you say, how do I do that too? Now, it might not be that you're doing that annoying thing to that person. It's not always so cut and dry and back and forth and within one relationship, but you might be judging somebody for being insensitive. And then you realize you're being very sensitive to them, but you might find that you're being insensitive to a coworker. You're projecting what you're feeling from that person onto somebody else in your life. Or maybe you're being insensitive to one of your kids, right? So you can look around your life and say, where am I being insensitive to? Or where am I being lazy? Or where am I being stupid? Or where am I being, what else, Jamie?
Oh my goodness, there are so many. Guys, when you start to utilize this tool and start this process, you will not even believe how often during the day these judgments come up. And so like we said, the judgment of others is always at its core a subconscious judgment you have of yourself. And you're really trying to protect yourself from feeling pain from that self-judgment.
So as you're doing this work and practicing mirror theory, it's important to remember here, and always keep this in the back of your mind, that people don't do anything to you. If you believe people are doing things to you and making you feel a certain way, that is that victim mentality that Jamie talked about earlier. It makes us feel powerless and like we don't have any control over changing the way that our current reality looks. So anytime you hear yourself saying, why are you doing this to me? Or thinking that somebody else is doing this to you, or even that the universe or life is doing this to you, see if you can flip that to, this is happening for me so that I can see the dark, dusty corners and I can clean up my vibration and have more expansion in my life.
Yeah. And we would also like to invite you, in a moment of feeling triggered, in a moment of finding yourself putting those walls up around your heart and starting to judge and get annoyed, we would like to invite you to drop into your body and pay attention to how your body's feeling. Does it feel good to judge? Does it feel good to put those walls up? And then if it doesn't, what would the reverse feel like? What would the reverse look like? How would someone who's able to flip that using reverse principle be in the world? How would they show up? And what would their influence modeling that high vibe, heart-centered love into the world, how would that influence those around them? So we have a 7-day challenge. Mirror theory is one of 6 strategies that we teach in a method that we created for ourselves. Literally, we created it for ourselves to break old patterns and old triggers. It's most powerful to learn this, just focusing on one person, one relationship, and then expand it and allow this to trickle into every corner of your life. And we promise you, we've been coaching hundreds of women over 15 combined years. The change happens so fast, it's almost like magic. We hope to see you in there.